spiritual home, where I get to come and unconditionally love you, and then you unconditionally love me, and it's this beautiful dance of giving and receiving that we have here. I'm delighted some of my homies are here. That's super cool, super cool. And of course the song was perfect. Faith is our root. So my title today is that we can always choose peace. And what we're going to do in my talk is we're going to explore the nature of peace from the perspective of being a science of minder, because that's what we are here. We are science of minders. So for those of you who are new, the author of our tradition, Ernest Holmes, calls our teaching the science of mind. The science of mind. And we're also going to look a little bit at that word science. Ernest teaches us that our tradition is a synthesis of the discoveries of science, the opinions of philosophy, and the revelations of religion applied to everyday living. And we are everyday living. I'm saying it again, just think about that. Our tradition is a synthesis of the opinions of philosophy, the discoveries of science, and the revelations of religion. So that's what we are. And it's this beautiful combination of all of those things. I loved that faith is the root. So I think that's always an invitation when we come to a center, is where is our faith? But I think it's also important to remember everybody has faith. You don't just have to be a religious or spiritual person. Everybody has faith in something. We get to choose that. Ernest Holmes, probably his most famous words are, "There is a power for good in the universe, greater than you are, closer to you than your very breath, a spiritual power you can use in your everyday life." And I think when we come to a spiritual center, and definitely when we come to ours, I think that's maybe what we have faith in. We have faith in the goodness. We have faith in that power for good that is operating in our lives. Some people, they have faith in negativity, victimhood, drama. I was at a school the other day chatting with a teacher friend, and she told me this, that she had asked her mailman how he was. And he said to her, "I've got this terrible head cold. I feel awful. I've had it for a week, and in 3 weeks, it'll have been a month." So, I think we all know what that gentleman has faith in, right? Yeah. I thought that was pretty funny. But we all have faith. And I think it's important in our spiritual journey to continue to look at, okay, where is my faith? My very favorite words of Ernest, I think I'm on my 4th, Living the Science of Mind. My books end up in pieces for some reason. So what we have faith in as a science of minder is that peace is at the center of our soul. Yeah. And what I'm going to read you is the reading I have read most often in my 19 years as a practitioner of the science of mind. I just love this reading. And I think this is, when we think about the scientific aspect, this is what we can prove as true, as a spiritual truth. Peace stands at the jaw of your consciousness and awaits your acceptance of it. It does not stand outside waiting for entrance. It stands inside waiting to be expressed in everything you do. Peace is within you now. The peace that passes all human comprehension is there. The peace that is the very heart of the universe is there. The peace that said to the waves, "Be still," is there. This is my very favorite line of his. The peace that healed the lunatic of his obsessing thoughts is there. I'll say that one again, because that one speaks to me. The peace that healed the lunatic of his obsessing thoughts is in you. The peace is within you now. Peace is at the center of your soul. It is the very being of your being. This peace, which is at the center of your being, has never been disturbed. It has never been afraid. It never desired to harm anyone. Therefore, it has never been hurt. How then shall we use this great gift, which nestles at the very center of our being? We are to use it consciously. You are to speak the word of peace wherever discord appears. And when you speak the word of peace, let no doubt arise in your thought. You must know that peace stills the tempest. You must know that your peace has all power, because it is the peace of God within you. And I think really a couple of sentences I want to go back to, because I think these are crucial in this conversation, is peace does not stand outside waiting for entrance. It stands inside waiting to be expressed in everything you do. And so what that says to us is we don't make peace happen. We welcome peace. So in any moment, we have a choice and we can welcome peace. Another concept that Ernest has with us is called our mental equivalent. And our mental equivalent is what we hold in our consciousness is possible. That's what the mental equivalent is. Our mental equivalent mirrors however much peace, truth, whatever it is in our consciousness. That is our mental equivalent. I'll be right back. So, I'm very visual. So I want us to think about our mental equivalent, okay? So maybe this is our mental equivalent. This is the amount of our mental equivalent. It's not wrong or right, but maybe this is what our mental equivalent is. But we always have the opportunity to choose to expand our mental equivalent to this. In any moment, we can expand our mental equivalent and we can move it into a greater expression of truth, of power, of peace, of wisdom. We have a choice. Yes. Many times when you come to us as a practitioner, often we're here, right? Maybe we're having a very small mental equivalent. Maybe we're really stuck in some condition. And the practitioner's gift to you is to hold this. Mm-hmm. When you come to us, we pray you in, and we pray you in with this level of a mental equivalent. And then what happens, hopefully during those sessions, and I was practitioners, we had so many beautiful experiences, right Denise, right Carol, right Bren, where people come with this, and then we pray, and we surrender to God. And because we hold the truth for that person, then it mirrors that in them. And they get to go from this to this. So, mental equivalent, really important. The mental equivalent is really important in our tradition. And one of the ways that we do that, probably the main way, is through spiritual practice. I don't know if there's another way to actually increase our mental equivalent apart from spiritual practice. There's a principle of attitudinal healing. I've studied attitudinal healing. It actually comes from A Course in Miracles. And there's a principle of attitudinal healing that says, I can choose peace regardless of the conditions in my life. I can choose peace regardless of the conditions in my life. And those of you who know me know that I'm a story gal. So I have a story about that, about my beloved friend Millie. I was driving to Denver for my first class in ministerial school. I was so scared because it was music. And those of you who know me know I'm never going to be up here singing. And I was terrified I was going to have to sing in this class or something. Anyway, I walked into the class. I sat down next to this lady within 5 minutes. You know how we do this, gals. Sometimes you sit down next to somebody and you're like, okay, she's going to be a sister. And for the rest of her life, we were very, very close friends. Very close friends. She became Minister Millie. And when I go to Denver, I would always spend a night with her. She would come down and, see me from Denver. But what I knew about Millie was do not disturb her for the first hour of her day. Not available. Never available. And I knew better. I didn't even offer her a cup of tea, because her first hour was always her commitment to her spiritual practice. 365 days. I can't tell you I do it 365 days a year. She did. Incredibly strong spiritual person. And when I was going through the dark nights of the soul, she was a great person to call because I knew she could hold the spiritual truths for me when I wasn't holding it for myself. Last February, when she went to have just a regular physical, there were some abnormalities in her blood work. This is going to be hard. Which then led to some discoveries, and overnight she found out that she had a rare form of T-cell lymphoma stage 4, and she had leukemia. She had both of them. She started treatment shortly afterwards, and treatment was brutal. for her because they were trying to treat both conditions. It was brutal, really brutal. And pretty much after every treatment, she would spend a few days in hospital, and then she would come out and she would bounce back. She'd call me and say, hey, I'm coming for a visit. Or I'd check in with her, oh, I'm going to see my kids in California. And she did this for 6 months. She underwent treatment. It was the most amazing thing. And I've journeyed with myself through cancer and with lots of other people. It was amazing, amazing. She started to bounce back. She went and did something on her bucket list. It was so incredibly inspiring. And what she proved scientifically is it is possible to choose peace regardless of the conditions in your life. And every time she came to see me or I went to see her, her body was fading and fading away. So she got to be like such a tiny, tiny person. But her spirit never faded. The divine spark that was at the core of who she was never, ever faded. In the last few weeks of her life, I went up to see her a few times. And at that point, her consciousness had faded away, but it was like sitting with what I assume could be the Buddha. To sit with her was just this beautiful experience of feeling like you're sitting with the Buddha. And in all that time, she never had a pity party. It was amazing. So I always acknowledge my friend Millie for proving to me that no matter what the conditions are in my life, I actually can choose peace. I actually can choose peace. And it was, I think, 2 words for me today are remembering and returning. She would come out of treatment and she would remember and return to the truth. She would remember and return to the truth. So on that vein, I'm going to tell a personal story about that. So peace and the part that it can play in our lives. And I don't know about you, but sometimes, and it's happened recently for me, that I get a little knocked off kilter in my humanness. And one of the ways that happens for me is financially, is because my contract with the schools is up in January, and I don't have another contract yet. And so what I found helpful when I start to wig out is if I can remember that, okay, I've had this theme before, this is not a new theme. And there have been other times in my life where I've been able to apply spiritual truth to this condition, and it worked, you know? It was very, very helpful, very helpful. And so when that happens for me about having some fear around finances, I recall an experience where I unequivocally had the peace of God. So what happened, and it was actually about this time a few years ago, I had a very unfortunate accident that resulted in my right leg being shattered in 3 places. I was taken to urgent care. They sent me home with an appointment with an orthopedic surgery. That was on a Monday, on the Friday. And so here I am laying in bed with a triple broken leg. I can tell you, it was quite painful. So I go to the orthopedic surgeon and he says to me, I can't help you. I'm like, what the hell do you mean you can't help me? And he said, you need a trauma surgeon. They should have sent you to the emergency room and they should have given you surgery that day. Your leg is so swollen now, no one's going to touch you. You're going to have to wait a couple of weeks because even a trauma surgeon will not operate on you right now. And I actually heard him call urgent care and give them a piece of his mind. Because, anyway, so be it. So I have these couple of weeks, so I have to lay in bed with a triple broken leg over Christmas. And I have a great group of friends, as I know you guys know. And my friends will come to see me, and then they say, what about your finances? How are you going to pay your bills? I'm a contractor. I only get paid when I work. And at that point of time, I was kind of going check to check. And I was like, I don't know. And then this conversation started to happen with my friends. Well, you need to sue. And everybody who came in there, you need to sue. You're going to have to sue. You're going to have to pay your bills. You need to sue. And the truth was, could I have won? Yes, absolutely. My lawyer friend was real insistent that I needed to sue. But it didn't sit right with me. I knew that my energy had to be about healing, not getting involved. I don't know if you've ever laid in bed all day long. I can't tell you. These people come up. Are you laying in bed? Have you had an accident that's somebody else's fault? Call this number. I can't tell you how many of those ads come off when you're watching daytime TV. It's quite funny, actually. So anyway, I was getting irritated with my friends. I was getting irritated because it wasn't helpful. I knew it was coming from a good place, but it wasn't helpful. So one night, in the middle of the night, I turned it over to God. I surrender this. I cannot figure it out, and I'm not going to sue. You have to help me. And it was one of those times in one's spirituality where you truly do surrender, because I didn't have any other choice. I really had to surrender, because in my mind, I couldn't conceive of how financially I was going to go, because I was going to be out for 2 or 3 months. Couldn't conceive of it. So the next morning I woke up, and there was the peace that passes all understanding. And I knew in every cell of my being, God had my back, and God was going to take care of it. I didn't know how, but God did. But then what happened for the next few days, my friends would come and try to start the conversations, and I would say, it's okay, God's got it. And you can imagine how some of my friends looked at me who aren't church-going folks, and I know they laughed afterwards, saying they talked behind my back, saying she thinks God's going to bloody fix this for her. What are we going to do with her? Anyway, that was pretty funny. So, a couple of my friends here know my friend Loretta. Yep. So my friend Loretta was visiting me about a week later on a Friday night, and I was like, oh man, I haven't checked my mail. And I truly had. I mean, I had been in the, even when it was painful, it was a little less painful because I kept visiting this place of peace. So she went, I said, get my mail, I haven't checked my mail. So we're laying in bed, it's Friday night, it's about 7 o'clock, I'm going through my mail, and all of a sudden I say very quietly, Loretta, I just got $10,000. And later she said that she was thinking, silly blank, she's got one of those blank checks and she thinks it's real. And I saw that Loretta look on her face, and I said, I got $10,000. It was a card from a girlfriend's daughter. My friend had died the year before. I had no idea that she had left me a $10,000 CD. $10,000 CD. And I know that would not have happened if I hadn't unequivocally put every ounce of my being into the faith of God. If I hadn't in every moment remembered and returned to that place that knows peace. And so now what's helpful for me is, oh man, if I could do it then, I can do it again, right? And so that when I get scared about money, I go back to that place where I had 100% the faith and peace of God. So, and maybe for you, maybe there's an example that you guys have where you didn't know how it was going to figure out, and you turned it over, and God had your back. Because that's what happens. Now, let's think about what can get in the way of having peace. And my friend Jan always likes these pieces. I know that about her. And it's the 3 C's. You know what they are? Compare, complain, and criticize. I don't know about you, but nothing gets me out of peace if I'm comparing, I'm complaining, or I'm criticizing. And I just had a month. Well, I got my PhD in the 3 C's. I have to tell you, I really did. And if you're one of my friends, unfortunately, you heard about it. As some of you know, I had a very interesting experience with a housemate. Unbeknownst to me, she was stealing very many beautiful clothes and things from me, and she sold them. She stole many beautiful things. It was a very bizarre experience, especially as many of you know, I am quite the material girl. So I am very attached to my stuff, and of course it was some of my most beautiful, expensive clothes that she stole and sold. I finally I got her out on October 21st. Well, she also had a 16-year-old dog who peed all over the carpet. My carpet was full of pee stains. And in my expectation was that she would either clean the carpet herself, or she would have someone clean it. Of course, did she? Absolutely not. And I was pissed. I was so very pissed off. I was so pissed off. So, comparing. Let's think about comparing. Brene Brown says, don't shrink, don't puff up, stand your sacred ground and be seen. Don't puff up, don't shrink, stand your sacred ground and be seen. So if we think about that, when we shrink, we're being inferior, right? When we puff up, we're being superior, and I'm not sure either of those feels the better, as opposed to the choice of standing in our sacred ground. And so for a month, I compared. And comparing, I think, tends to be an inside job. Because in my head, well, I would never do that. She's not my friend because my friends would never do that. And I usually tend more to the inferior. This time I went to the superior. And I spent a lot of time comparing myself to her and feeling superior. Complaining. Well, I have to tell you, if you're one of my homies, you know that I complained for a month about that bloody carpet. I complained all the time. Kevin walks with me every week, and I can't tell you how many times he's had to listen to me, that bloody carpet! Because I would be sitting on my living room watching TV, and there were pee stains. I go up the stairs, there were pee stains. The landing. And so I was complaining to all of my homies, or to anyone who would listen, for a month. Even though Loretta offered me her carpet cleaner. And I just ignored the comment. Completely ignored it. And then criticize. I have to say, there's a word, I'm not going to say the word, but there's a word that we could call somebody that's not very pleasant. And I called her that word in that month more than I've ever used that word in my whole life. I would walk up the stairs, look at a stain. I'd call her that. So I was so stuck in complaining, comparing, and criticizing. So then one day my friend Loretta is obviously fed up with hearing about this story when she's offering me a carpet cleaner. So she tells me, I'm bringing you the carpet cleaner. Okay. Because in my head, I'm like, I won't be able to do that. So she brings me the carpet cleaner, she shows me how to do it, and lo and behold, it takes the pee stains up. It was miraculous. We did the downstairs, and then she left, and I went and got more rug shampoo, and I did the stairs and the landing and the bedrooms. Stains gone. But here's the deal. The next day, she was no longer renting space in my head. She was not renting space in my head anymore because I had taken the action step to get out of compare, complain, and criticize. And so then she stopped renting space in my head, and it was fabulous. A quick antidote to the 3 C's, if we get stuck in the 3 C's, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, the easiest way to get out of either of them is gratitude. I'm not sure we can hold gratitude and complaining in the same breath. I'm not sure we can hold gratitude and comparing, or gratitude and criticizing in the same breath. I don't think we can. Gratitude is a superpower. Gratitude is a superpower. Meister Eckhart told us that if you are only ever to have one prayer, if you're only going to ever have one prayer, let it be thank you. Let it be thank you. So I think gratitude is truly a superpower, and it was interesting to me when I came to this country and the concept of Thanksgiving, because I really think every day is a day to be grateful, right? Every day is a day to be grateful for something. But I think if we can stop our thinking when we are comparing, criticizing, or complaining, and just say, okay, what is one thing I can be grateful for in this moment? Even if it's just one thing. Even if it's just one thing. It's been a while since I've spoken, so I have to keep just making sure. So what this whole situation I just explained to you, I think really what that relates to is the pebble in the shoe. Who's ever had a pebble in the shoe they didn't take out? Okay, we all have. And so for me, the pebble was the carpet, the bloody carpet. That was the pebble. And when I took the action step to take the pebble out of my shoe, my mind was free again. But don't we all do that? Don't we all walk around with some pebble in our shoe that is something? Maybe something we complain about, so maybe something we compare or criticize about, rather than taking the one action step we could do to take the pebble out of our shoe. So in this moment, I just invite you to see, when you hear this question, is there a pebble in your shoe? Is there something in your shoe? Just close your eyes for a second. Take a breath with me. Is there something in your shoe? Is there a pebble in your shoe that you've been walking on that's renting space in your head? And if something comes up, maybe you're complaining, criticizing, comparing, just think, what is one action step that you could do to take that pebble out of your shoe? What could you do? Okay, open your eyes. Did everybody get jewels? Did everybody get gems? Okay, this is the gem thing. There are a couple of people who know me so well that I am the queen of gems. I love gems. I'm going to tell you a beautiful story. In 1957, some of us were alive then. Yes. In Thailand, outside of Bangkok, there was a very, very old Buddhist monastery. Been there forever. And outside the Buddhist monastery, there was a 10-foot square statue of the Buddha. And it was clay. And it was old, and the clay was chipped away, and it wasn't very attractive. And so the monks, the chief monk, decided, we need to get rid of that, we need to move it. So they decided to move it. They got a contractor in, I guess. And they're bringing up this statue, okay? They've got it craned, they're bringing it up. And all of a sudden, this is a true story, by the way, it cracks. So they put it down. Mm-hmm. And one of the monks notices that there's light coming through the statue. Mm-hmm. And we know clay does not reflect light, right? So he was curious. So he went and got a chisel, and he chiseled it away. And what do you think he found underneath? Gold. Solid gold. 10-foot solid gold statue of Buddha. And what had happened in 1787, the Burmese army invaded Thailand, and these monks did not want their treasure to be found. So they slapped all this clay on there, but what happened? They were all massacred. And so the secret of the golden Buddha died with them until 1957. And if you go to Thailand today, that's their greatest treasure. Well, I'm going to bring something out, and I can tell you when I bring this out in kindergarten, or even in my friend Alyssa's 4th grade class. So I have my beautiful bag that actually I got from Lindsay Jan, her daughter. So look, here is the gold. Here is the gold that is at the center of each one of us. We are golden. We are a gem. And this is who we are. But unfortunately, our humanness, we pile on these layers of clay, be it, unforgiveness, be it lack of self-worth, be it judgment, be it whatever it is, our stories, we just put that clay on it. And the spiritual journey is about removing that clay so that we can truly sit in the peace that passes all understanding. And this is who you are. Each one of you. You are golden. You are golden. You are a gem. You are a gem. You are the light of the world. And the good news is the more we take our layers off, the more we are willing to let this shine, the more we inspire other people to do the same thing. We inspire others. And so maybe at this time of Christmas, when we contemplate what are our gifts, maybe the greatest gift we have is to share this, is to be willing to do the spiritual practice, to take those layers off, so we can stand in the truth as the truth. And there are always ways where maybe our friends, their way is dark. We can go stand in that for them as they can stand in it for us when our way seems dark. But let's think about that. And I just invite us all to this Christmas really think about, where can I shine my light? So I'd like you to get in your hands your gems. You should have 3. One for mind, one for body, and one for spirit. So I want you to put them on your heart. If you're online, just put your hand on your heart, please. And I want you to say after me, I am golden.
I am golden.
I am a gem.
I am a gem.
Say it again. I am golden. I am a gem. You are golden. You are a gem. We are golden. We are gems. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you. That was fun.
Thank you, Deborah. That was just great. Thanks so much. All right, now is our time for our conscious giving. So if the ushers would join me, please, at the front. Anyone who's got a basket or, your hands or something like that? Okay, so as you're preparing your offering, and just a gentle reminder, there are 3 Sundays left to this year. So as you're preparing your donation, your contribution, your inspired giving, do it with a grateful heart, as Deborah said. Gratitude is the thing. And so in this time of the holidays, gratitude is our superpower. So infusing whatever you're able to do, or if you didn't bring something, or you pay online, or you offer on Facebook, it doesn't really matter. It's the energy behind your gift. So infuse that gift with your spirit, your gem, your goldenness. And if you would repeat with me, please, our sharing affirmation. The love of Spirit blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive abundantly. And so it is. So once a month we receive a gift from the McCrorys, and they live up in the Espanola area. He works for the labs, and every month they send us a tithe, and he also sends always a beautiful card and just lovely message. So I'd like to share that with you, please. Hi, everybody. So here we are in the month of the year where darkness holds its greatest sway. It has been getting darker for 6 months, and it can feel like it will continue that way until everything is dark. And yet, at that moment, the first faint glimmerings of change appear. Tiny at first and fighting through the cold, the snow, but irresistibly growing in confidence and strength until new life breaks through in a profusion of variety and beauty. We are very glad and grateful to send the enclosed tithe to support the wonderful work that Everyday Center for Spiritual Living is doing. May 2025 be filled with abundance of all kinds, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial. Blessings, Tom and Marlene. And just that energy behind his words and their words, that's what we're talking about. Those are the words and the energy of abundance, of gratitude, of peace. And so we'll leave that with ourselves and take that in today. Thank you.
So this is a number we've done. It's a rare cover song. It's not one of ours, although I have changed the lyrics just a little bit to make it a little bit more ours. I guess
We all know what it is to be to be gold under the clay. And I happen to have the 3 gems that are, in some interpretations, the 3 colors of the Sacred Heart. This song is from the point of view of Mary, who, of course, held gold inside her, held the gem, and had her doubts, even so, as we all would. And this is a song about, carrying a light in that darkness.
I have traveled many moonless nights, cold and weary, with a babe inside, and I wonder what I've done. That beloved, you have come and chosen me now to carry your song. I am waiting in a silent prayer. I am frightened of the load I bear in a world of cold unknowns. Must I walk this path alone? Be with me now. Be with me now. Breath of heaven, hold me together. Be forever near me. Breath of heaven. Breath of heaven, lighten my darkness. Pour over me your holiness, so I am holy. Breath of heaven. Do you wonder as you watch my face if a wiser one should receive your grace? But I offer all I am to the mystery of your plan. Help me be strong. Help me be. Help me. Breath of heaven, hold me together. Breathe forever through me. Breath of heaven. Breath of heaven, lighten my darkness. Pour into me your loveliness, so I am holy. Breath of heaven, hold me together. Live forever in me. Breath of heaven. Breath of heaven, lighten my darkness. Pour through Okay. All right. I wasn't sure I was doing this piece, but I am, and I'm delighted. Please come join us. We make a circle, so let's make our circle around Jim. Yeah. Jim and Jan, if you can, yeah. Jim can stay seated. Stay seated. I need the mic. Oh.
Oh, we're going to move the line.
More coming.
What a beautiful, huge. Oh, I think we're on here. We on? Am I on? Am I on, guys? Okay. Let's wait for everybody. Stephen, if you can move, we can move further back. What a beautiful large circle we have. How lovely this is. Thank you. Okay, so our tradition at the Everyday Center for Spiritual Living is we finish with a closing circle. And we go around and everybody says one word that you're putting into the circle. A word of truth, a word of inspiration, a word of power. Or it can be 3 words or whatever. And then when somebody says their word, we say it back. Okay? Mel, would you start?
Sure. Golden. Healing.
Healing.
Gratitude.
Love. Jim? Peace.
Peace. Joy. Devotion.
Gratitude.
Play like children.
Unity.
Holy.
Peace.
Trust.
Kindness.
Brilliance.
Miracles.
Faith. Wonder.
Blessings.
Love.
Grumpiness.
Grace.
Fun.
Thank you.
Peace.
New beginning.
Gratitude.
And who do we have online?
We have gratitude, peace, harmony, God.
Love. Is that good?
Irrepressible
Oh, where did that came from?
and God.
Okay. So I just invite us to lower our gaze, close our eyes if we're comfortable. The invitation in this moment, as we sit here in our hearts with an open heart, knowing it is the one heart of God, knowing that each one of us in this circle and everyone who's meeting with us on Zoom or Facebook, each one of us is an individualized space in the awesome, in the universal presence of the sweet God that is all there is. And so as we take each one of these words in, words of power, words of qualities of God, inspiration, power, whatever they were, I know that in this moment we each take these words into our heart, into our being, knowing that as we leave here, we walk in harmony with God. We speak the words of peace and therefore we are peaceful. We contemplate the words of truth, so we mirror truth into our world. We think the words of power and we are powerful. How grateful we are to know that we all journey together on this crazy thing called life. And what a beautiful journey that is. So grateful for the Everyday Center for Spiritual Living that brings us together to help us remember and return to the peace of God. Lovingly, we come together and close by saying, and so it is. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I gotta go. Bye.
Oh, I forgot to sing.
Problem